Hey everybody, and welcome to I Got This with LEX and MGP. I'm Lex and I've been a personal trainer over the last 5 years. Martha has been my client for 3 years, and over that time she has lost over 50 pounds and changed her entire perspective on life. Join us each week as we dive into health, mindset, and everything in between. Hey everybody, and welcome back to I Got This pod. We are going to start this podcast with a Jurassic Park quote from one of my favorite actors, Jeff Goldblum. I don't know how you could not love Jeff Goldblum, honestly. Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. Was that a good?
You didn't sound like Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
All right, guys, so back to our topic today. Just because you can does not mean that you should. I'm pretty excited about this topic in all realms, but we're definitely going to start with fitness.
Okay.
So I want to talk about something that had happened with us this week.
Boy, we just love getting into those personal stories, don't we?
Martha just blushed a little bit. I don't think I've ever seen you do that. I'm sorry. All right, so
we didn't throw hands or anything. We just had some words.
No, it wasn't even bad.
No,
it was just me being a coach, right? Yeah. Okay, so here's kind of how the conversation started. We're getting into the nitty gritty, and I think this is the first time actually that we had a very coach to client talk within the last few days. So I think it's so fresh, and I'm happy people are able to hear that.
And it actually was over a couple days, really.
Yeah, you had to follow up with me. Actually, the first thing that I said to you was, Martha, I'm asking you not to respond. I'm asking you to sit with this, reflect on it. You can disagree with it, and then come back to me. And then you actually came back to me with a solution, which was awesome. Definitely.
Oh, I texted you a solution first, and then we had another conversation the next day. Yes.
Exactly, yeah. So it definitely carried on. So I'm doing a large group training. It includes 9 people, and at the end of each training session, so it's focused on strength, and at the end of each session, we do a little competition.
Yes.
And
it's not little.
It's not little. And everyone in this group of 9 is very competitive, especially because they were my team from our January challenge. So it's people who were competitive from January carried out. So they take these competitions very seriously. So Martha, number one, you are okay, so I had to sit down and tell you the honest truth.
Yep.
And this is no dig at anybody else in the group. It's just a reminder. You are stronger than you know you are. You are more, you have more cardiovascular health than you know that you do. And you, I believe, will 90% of the time work harder than the person next to you when a competition is at hand.
Oh, 100%.
Yes, that's who you are.
If I'm able, I'm going to go.
Exactly.
Which is why you put me on your team.
Exactly. Well, that's why I put everybody in this group training has the exact same characteristics too. So they are all very strong, very heart healthy, very competitive. And even if they don't have the willpower, or the ability to, no matter what, they will try. Right? And so we had this competition at the end of the session, and it was something. As a trainer, I would say, it's not, the most functional by any means. You were hopping over a Bosu ball.
Yeah, it was actually kind of stupid. Not going to lie.
Excuse me?
Well, I mean, as far as what we're training, it wasn't strength, or it wasn't...
No, it's cardio.
Yeah, right.
It's a fun cardio exercise. So, actually, it's just not functional.
Right.
But the finishing of it, it's a fun cardio exercise.
It was silly because we were all trying to figure out how to
do
optimize getting over this thing.
Every single person was trying to, so you hop over a Bosu ball, so you hop on and then off, and you're supposed to land on the top, you should land on your toes, and then on the bottom you should land like you would land on a box jump, and then you're supposed to jump and turn around, right?
But we were all trying to spin in the air.
Yes. So one girl is a figure, used to be a figure skater, so she starts spinning in the air to turn around.
My money was actually on her,
yes,
not me.
Me too. I was this girl's gonna she's got the twists and turns. So everybody's optimizing this move, and it's how many you could get in a short amount of time. And as a coach, I was seeing, actually a lot of people were doing it really, really well. but you were the fastest, and I had another person that was the fastest. So you said to me, Alexis, my ankle is like starting to irritate me. And I looked at you and I said, Martha, then slow down. And you were like, well, no, I have to win. But guess what? Just because you can does not mean that you should, right? So I had this talk with her. I sat her down. I was like, Martha, you win, what, 80% of the challenges in this class or like the competitions. And then you come to this one that like, yeah, I'm not going to say it was like the smartest thing. No, you know what? It was a fun challenge, but like you're not going to twist your ankle. Nobody in the challenge twists. I've had quite a few injuries per my own ill decision on exercises, as every trainer has in terms of years. But this exercise is not like the most ridiculous thing I've ever done. Trust me.
Oh no, I've done some more ridiculous things.
Yes, exactly. And then I'm like, okay, we're going to pull that out of the library. So it was you and another person, and I said, okay, at the end of it, I was like, okay, these two people got more reps, but shit, like their form was horrible. Like, does this count? And then I had to
I did not win, by the way.
No, you did not.
Because I slowed down on that after you yipped at me in class.
Good. I'm glad you did.
I could have won.
Yes, you could have.
Because there was only a couple reps, but I slowed down.
Thank you, for your own sake. And so that was kind of the conversation. That was the conversation. Just because you can does not mean you should. And then we kind of carried it on later, and you had some personal realizations as well as to why you pushed so hard.
Correct.
Which I respect and I love, and I think that's why the greatest people in the world become the great. Like, think about David Goggins. That guy does insane things because he wants to prove that he can, and I respect that. But when injury's on the line,
Correct.
does it mean that you should? Does it really?
Yeah. No, there are certain things you should not risk. I get that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Give me your notes on our chat and what came of it. What do you think?
Well, I mean, after we talked, I mean, it happened on Wednesday, so I guess it was Friday when you kind of sat me down and said, just listen.
Yeah.
And we had that chat. And then, I thought about it, and I realized there are certain people, too, in that class that I don't feel competitive with, even if I want to do my best.
Yeah.
It's whatever. But there are certain people that trigger me.
Yes.
and it is what it is, and I'm sure I probably trigger them. So, when I'm being chided or whatever, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And, part of it, too, is, it's a mixed group, mixed ages, mixed gender, but I'm one of the oldest women in the room, and, I'm just because I'm a certain age or a certain gender, I'm going to still beat you. And, sometimes you take a little pride in that, I know. And that's ego, I get it. But I did realize that for many years, mostly in my 30s and 40s, that my lack of fitness and my weight held me back from doing a lot of things. And then when I started doing some group fitness and some group classes, I was always kind of stood in the back of the room. I didn't want anyone to notice that I couldn't do things. And now all of a sudden, I can do them. And actually probably better than a lot of people in the room. And I'm not saying that egotistically. Yeah. It's just all of a sudden my fitness has exploded and now I can really do things. And so I still struggle with that at times. Like, do I have to prove it to not even others, but to myself that I can do these things? And I think that's where part of this came in, that I look at, you know you're the best when you beat the best kind of thing. So you figure out who the best one is in the room and you see if you can keep up.
Right.
And that's kind of where I think that came from.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we talked about that.
And I respect that you sat down, you figured that out yourself. You understood, like, okay, this is where these feelings are coming from. And again, I'm not saying that you should stop being
I'm not going to let someone win.
No, and that's not what I'm asking.
Right, no, I know.
Ever. I'm asking you to sit back. Of course, like, okay, well, why do I feel the need to push myself so far past the point where, like, it might injure me? And you did that. And that was really, I think, looking inward was amazing and respectable. And we kind of solved, okay, well, like, maybe let's not put you in a certain group for the majority of the session for somebody who might push your buttons that makes you want to, like, overwork, which is good sometimes. Definitely.
If I need to be challenged, for sure.
Yeah. But that wasn't it. It was just because you can, and now knowing, oh wait, you can. Just because you can. Oh wait, Martha can. Oh, now the question is, should I?
Right. And honestly, I don't feel like I have anything to prove to the other people in the room, you included. Yeah. It's mostly to myself.
Yeah. And that's good to look inward and understand as well. That's fun. Competition is always fun. And if people were to say to me, you should take the competition aspect out so people don't get competitive, that is the most Gen Z, what is the new, I'm sorry, that's the most, like, I am
No, that's
not.
the millennials, sorry, that's you.
That's me?
Everybody gets a trophy.
Fine. Well, that's not true, and I still fight that. I fight that.
You're like a non-millennial millennial.
People say that, but, like, the people around me are like me, too. Like, I don't know who was raised like that, but it's not my people.
Which is why they're not your people.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's so. Yeah.
Well, we'll give props to your folks then, because they didn't let you do that.
I appreciate that. Yep, they did not.
One of my kids is a millennial too, and we didn't let him.
Exactly. He's similar to me as well.
Exactly. We taught our kids early on how to be not only good winners, but to be good losers.
And I used to be a sore loser, so maybe I am a little millennial, but I learned to be a better loser. But
funny side story on this, because, everyone loves a side story.
Yeah, exactly.
Our game of choice when the kids were little was to play Don't Break the Ice. Do you remember that? Where you had the little hammer and you'd tap the ice on the frame. That. You've never played Don't Break the Ice?
No, I don't know what that game is.
So whoever lost had to take the little rink that the game is on, put it on their head, and walk around singing, I am the loser, you are the winner.
Oh my God.
And to this day, if we ever play any game, whether it's like Catan or Euchre or whatever, we still do that because it just became a fun family joke.
That is so cute. I love that. Whereas like my family, we would play Risk growing up.
We used to play Risk too a lot.
Yes, and I come from a family of brothers, and my brothers would get so competitive where I would just I would quit because it wasn't fun anymore. I would quit in the middle of a game because I was like, you guys are being too competitive. It's not even fun. And I would quit. And I'm the middle of two boys. So
yeah, you're the middle child. Anyway, so that makes you the peacekeeper.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm out. And then now they hate playing games with me. So maybe that's why I'm a good loser.
No, we purposely did that with our kids.
I respect that so much.
And we wanted them to be competitive, of course.
Yeah.
But we also wanted them to understand how to win and how to lose. And both of them were pretty competitive athletes growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, our daughter even swam in college. And I have to say, I was always so proud because so many of the kids would just jump out of the pool at the end of a race, let's say if they won. Yeah. Our kids always stayed in the water until the last kid finished.
I love
and would reach across the lane lines to shake hands or high five or whatever.
But you taught them well.
So,
good job.
So maybe it started with the I am the loser song.
I am the loser, you are the winner. I'm going to sing that.
I'll tell you what, I'll FaceTime those kids in. You'll see them sing it.
That's the best. All right. Well, I do respect that. Going back to our topic,
yes,
though.
But anyway, side story. Done.
Good side story. We love side stories. Okay, so the other thing that I often see with my clients, it's more so like my men clients, my males. Mm-hmm. It's sometimes my women. I'm going to say sometimes, rarely it's you.
Mm-hmm. Where are you going with this?
No, but they will pump weight the same way. I have certain clients who are very aware. Usually my young men are more aware. I
thought I had to lift more
to get
results.
And that's not.
And yes, I do have to lift heavy, but doesn't mean more.
No.
I already lift pretty darn heavy.
Exactly.
And so a couple times you've said to me, even in the last few months or whatever, I think we should, back off on this particular weight, or we're going to take this one down.
Yep.
And I'm like, it's fine. I'm not ego lifting. I want to get results.
Exactly. And it's hard because I sometimes have to be a little harsh and mean, and I get a little, as a trainer, and I'm really working on this, I get a little frustrated when I tell somebody to bump the weight down and they say no, because in my mind, I don't know how to tell them kindly. Sometimes I'll just be kind of not super kind about it. Well, your form is bad, so stop doing it. And it's not nice.
That's exactly what she sounds like too, by the way, when she says that.
That is. Because your body, if you have proper form, your whole body's working together in harmony, right? Mm-hmm. You have poor form, one muscle group is taking over, taking the brunt. And again, people say bad form causes injury. Yes, but they don't understand that there's too much force on one muscle at a certain time. Mm-hmm. Therefore, you're putting so much load on that part of your body. It will either injure you or it'll continue to build the wrong parts of your body. Mm-hmm. There's a science to it, yes. And there are certain numbers as to what weights you should hit, yes. But somebody looking at you can see your form well from a third, an outside perspective is key. And
you're educated in it too.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes you'll tell me, look in the mirror. I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah, that's true. I do often say, turn your head to the left. I say, when you're in the middle of bad form or you're lifting, I'll pause you. I'm saying, stop right there. Look to your left in the mirror and check that out. And then sometimes you'll notice, and sometimes you'll be like, I literally don't know
what you want me to look at.
Yeah, I'm like, and then I have to say, like, your back is completely rounded or your head's jutting forward. So we can move on to other ways that this is true, but it is true in terms of lifting heavy and pushing yourself in terms of competition. Just because you can does not mean you should. Other ways have you felt this
in the fitness realm still?
We can go one more time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know for me, when I started having some success and I was working out maybe 4 days a week, then I went to 5, then I went to 6, then I went to 7, then I started doing 2 days. And I think that was when you were like, it's time to pump the brakes. You gotta rest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I'm fine. I can totally do this. And you're like, just because you can
does not mean
doesn't mean you should. Yeah. And so I had to learn, and I think I've actually gotten better about that, is taking rest days. Just because I didn't feel like I didn't need them doesn't mean I didn't. Exactly.
That's the thing. Again, comparing yourself to like athletes at the highest level. These people can. I like thinking in terms of that because they are the highest form of like what health and fitness is, right? Like athletes, Olympic athletes, whatever. Sometimes they do 2 days, but guess what? In between, their rest level is so high. Like they're doing sauna, they're doing like certain types of therapy. They are making their muscles relax deeply. We're not doing that.
Correct.
So you're like that lactic acid is building up, and it's actually allowing you to not get results and not like your muscles cannot get the nutrients they need because you're not healing properly.
Well, I felt like I was fine, but now when I rest, I'm like, oh, I feel better.
Yeah.
Because that was my normal. I didn't know it any different.
Exactly. And you see better results when you don't lift as heavy, right? You see better results when you don't work out as much as 2 a day, 7 days a week.
Or when I let my body heal.
Yes, exactly. So let's talk about a few other things. Just because you can doesn't mean you should outside of health and fitness. We love adding those.
Finances.
Yeah.
Comes to mind for me.
Does it?
Just because you can buy something doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people struggle with that.
It's hard.
Just because, MasterCard says I have a $10,000 limit on my credit card. Yeah. Doesn't mean I should max it out.
That's a hard one for a lot of people, I think.
Instant gratification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I'm going to buy something.
I'm sitting here. Amazon's easy.
Yeah. Oh, I really want that. I'm shopping on Amazon. Why not? Yeah. That's a hard one.
It's only $100.
Why not? Just because you can does not mean you should. That's a really, really good one. Puts you in a bad space.
Absolutely. I mean, that is one thing that my husband and I have tried to instill in our kids. And for us, ever since we were married, we've never carried credit card debt.
I respect that so much. And
there were times we had to put off doing stuff.
Yeah.
But guess what? We're pretty financially solid now.
I think it's my generation. Sorry, millennials. I'm like...
No, the Gen Xers have a lot of credit card debt too. Trust me. Okay, my generation's right with you.
Okay, good. I was dogging my gen. How bad? No, I rep you guys, I promise.
I mean, you guys get a trophy, but we all have credit cards.
That's good. I definitely think you're right. Like, you see this availability to do something, and you're like, oh, I definitely can. Oh, look, I have it, but... No, you should. You really should not. There are things, you have to take the moment, weigh the pros and cons before you buy something, before you just throw money at it.
Yeah.
And it's hard too. I really do believe with Instagram and social media, I look at the clothes these girls have and
the purses.
The
and $2,000 purses.
The Gucci belt, the GG belt.
Oh yeah.
So many girls I know have it my age because it's so stylish.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a symbol of I guess it is, look what I can have maybe. I don't know. Or look at this.
You can get a good knockoff.
Yeah, I guess so.
For $20.
But I looked up the price. I was like, that's $500.
For a belt.
Yeah. Oh my God. And again, maybe that's your special treat to yourself, or maybe you have the means and that is very little money to you. But also I'm just saying in society right now, I'm like, oh, I should have that. I should have that. Should have that. I think a lot of women and men in this era, you see on Instagram of all these things you should have. Otherwise, oh, you just don't look like a certain way. And
but think about the people who are really, truly wealthy.
Yeah.
And how they dress. Think about how a Steve Jobs,
I love
dressed.
those memes.
Right? You know what I mean?
Of Mark Zuckerberg in a white t-shirt.
Right. He's in old navy jeans.
Yes.
Yeah. And has more money than he'll ever be able to spend.
Exactly. it's just still, it's hard to remember that, but it's true. You have to remember those things.
You know, you got to decide what's important or not. But exactly. But just because you can
does not mean you should. How many times? I feel like we're gonna tally up how many times we said that this episode, but I like drilling it into our listeners'
We could
heads.
have made it a contest. People should have guessed how many times.
Oh, we could on our reel. Check out our reel, you guys, for that one. All right, so last one I'll talk about, just because I can doesn't mean I should. It sounds like braggy. I really don't mean it to come off that way. Whatever. Okay, so at the end of the month, and in most sales positions, you have a number that you have to hit, right? Or you want to hit a quota.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's okay, how high can I hit, right?
Right.
So it's always like the last few days of the month, close out. And I am like selling, and I'm selling because I want to be the leaderboard number one. I always want to stay on top because I am just as competitive as you.
Yep.
Then, so I sell all these sessions at the end of the month. And number one, my goal is to kind of dive deeper into group training. So I'll sell these like one-on-one sessions because it's harder to sell a group than it is to sell one-on-one.
Right, because you have to coordinate.
Exactly. You have to coordinate times, people, get people on board, and make sure the personalities fit, the levels fit. It's a lot.
I'm sure the dynamics of a group can be tough.
Yeah, there's a lot to it for sure if you're doing it properly. But so at the end of the month, I just go directly to, okay, let's sell one-on-ones. So then I sell all these one-on-one sessions, and then the next month, I don't have the availability, I don't have all the hours to be able to service these, or even like the mental capacity to work with this many clients. And so I have dug myself into this hole probably 3 times at least, and realized like, oh my God, I can sell like this. Excited that I've been able to do it, but now it's time to change your goals, change your gears. Say, okay, sell like this in the beginning of the month and sell group because I have nothing. I can't. I should not because I cannot actually. Or I can, but I really should not.
So if it's the 30th of the month, I am not answering my phone if you're calling me. I'm kidding.
Basically. No.
Our schedule is pretty sad.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, just for all you listening, usually it is a good opportunity. If I'm calling you on the 30th for the 31st, I might have a good deal, all right? I'm still working through some sessions that I'm like, oh, that was a really good deal. Why did I sell that? I'm just kidding. People can put me on mute on the 31st. It's really bad. That's a really not a good thing for me.
I'm kidding.
Please don't block me, you guys. Please pick up that day. Anyways, yeah, so it could go into work goals, that type of thing as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times even at work have you been asked to take on extra responsibility or extra whatever it is, and you have to decide, I hate to say, is this worth my time and money?
Yeah. And you want to help because, like, if you love where you work or you want to prove yourself or show you're committed, you want to help, but you have to sit down. That's another thing. I've said yes to so many things, and then my leadership will say, why did you say yes to that? Like, I don't know. I wanted to help.
Well, and I think sometimes we have that guilt where we don't want to say no because we're people pleasers in a way.
Yeah.
You want, people to like you, or you want people to respect you, whether it's at work or in the community or whatever. So you don't always, you want to say yes, but at the same time, I have learned that sometimes you have to say no. You have to decide what's important and what to prioritize.
And sometimes you have to take a moment and come back to it too as well. Like, let me think about that. I'll let you know if that is something I can take on.
Right, and make a true decision after you're able to look at it.
Exactly. Good.
Yeah.
What was the quote that, after when you looked up our Jeff Goldblum quote, what was the quote that you found? I loved it.
So, just because we can doesn't mean we should. Just because we always have doesn't mean we always have to. Once we know better, we should choose better.
I really like the end. Once we know better, we should choose better. I really like that. All right, well, thank you all for listening on that note. You can start your episode by listening to me poorly impersonate Jeff Goldblum and end the episode with Martha getting deep. Check us out. You know the drill on Facebook, Instagram, and 5-star rating anywhere you listen to us on podcasts.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed what you heard, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts and give us a 5-star rating. Also, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at I Got This Pod. See you next week. And remember, I got this.